Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Guardians of Liberty with myself, Nathan Parada, and my co-host, Zach Taylor. Happy New Year's, everyone. We made it to 2018. Yay! We survived 2017.
Roads to Liberty presents the Guardians of Liberty with your hosts, Nathan Parada and Zach Taylor.
Woo.
You know what? I thought we were all going to be dead by now, with pulling out of the Paris Climate Agreement, the end of net neutrality, the tax cuts. I was sure that the world would have ended by now, but we're all still here magically somehow. So we're back to do another episode of Guardians of Liberty. Very exciting times. How was your New Year, Zach? You guys do anything fun?
I beat Legend of Zelda.
Nice. Was it the new one?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Was it good?
Possibly the best game I've ever played.
Yeah, I haven't played a Zelda game in so long. But, I mean, I know my brother-in-law, he freaking loves those Zelda games. But, I don't know, best game of all time. I mean, better than Skyrim? Because that's my personal favorite.
I never played Skyrim.
What?
I think that, so the gameplay is going to be similar, except you can actually climb things in this game instead of glitching to climb things. I think it's, yeah. The storyline is so good. I really, really fell in love with it.
That's great. We didn't do anything over here for New Year's. We just kind of just stayed up to midnight and said, "Yay, it's New Year's." But when you get older, New Year's isn't quite so amazing anymore. You're like, I don't want to do this anymore. I put the kid to bed, lie in bed myself, and we're like, okay, that's good. I don't think I need to do anything.
That's a holiday for people who like to find justifications for drinking, in my opinion.
So speaking of drinking, Donald Trump sent out a very interesting tweet the other night directed at the dictator of North Korea, Kim Jong-un. It goes, and I quote, "North Korean leader Kim Jong-un just stated that the nuclear button is on his desk at all times. Will someone from his depleted and food-starved regime please inform him that I too have a nuclear button, that it is a much bigger and more powerful one than his, and my button works." So this stirred up a lot of controversy among more left-leaning individuals, thinking that we're going to start a nuclear war because of a tweet.
So here's the thing. Nobody actually thought we were going to start a nuclear war. This was literally a penis measuring contest on the internet, which is basically all Twitter is good for anymore anyway. And watching CNN especially pretend that this was serious was mind-numbing. Of course, like, he's talking crap. This is something that you would say to get into someone's head. I can't even. Like, is it something that we should not expect from a president? Yes, we should expect better from a president.
Should we, though? Should we really expect better from a president?
I mean, not this one, but like,
here's the thing about it. I think the left has painted this. I mean, I'm no Trump fan. I think we all know that. I'm not a Trump fan. I didn't vote for him, and I don't intend to vote for him, come 3 years now. But the left has painted such a bizarre and evil caricature of what he is that it's just completely disproportionate to what Donald Trump actually is. Donald Trump is just another bad president. He's better than some, worse than others, but he's just another long line of bad presidents. I'd go on a limb and say he's probably the best president of my lifetime, not saying very much since the two presidents we've had are George Bush and Barack Obama, and they were both god awful. And maybe Trump is slightly better than those two, but yeah, he's still bad, but he's not freaking Hitler.
Why are you such a Nazi apologist?
It always comes back to that. I'm such a Nazi apologist.
You are the worst Asian ever. So, I have to explain this inside joke because it's going to become part of our show. I'm not going to let this go. So I was sitting with my fiance last night at a Wendy's, and she was telling me about this guy at her work who's a libertarian. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And she's like, yeah, I was showing him the video that you took from the library pub. I'm like, hey, that's cool. And she's like, I was telling him that he should come out to like Sarpy County meetings, and I was pointing out, and I was like, yeah, the little Asian guy here in the video is like he's the chair of the Sarpy County party.
The little Asian guy.
I'm just like, he's like Puerto Rican, right?
Funny thing is, you're not the first person to make that joke. I had a friend down in Florida who used to call me Willingham Hung because apparently I look like the freaking American Idol singer. Yeah, so you're not the first person to say I look Asian, but
so she like. My fiance is literally that all brown people look the same kind of person. I love you, babe.
The thing is Asians aren't even brown; they're like
well,
white.
Like she's thinking like Filipino Asians. They're a little darker skinned.
Oh, okay. See, I feel some kind of kinship with my brothers and sisters over in Korea. What they must be those poor people in North Korea are dealing with, knowing that Donald Trump is mean tweeting their dictator. They must be very devastated by that.
Well, in order to get their opinion on it, first you would have to explain to them what a tweet is, which will lead you down the rabbit hole of explaining to them what the internet is. And at some point, you might just need to explain what food is to them, because they haven't had that in a while either.
I mean, they can't. They don't even have electricity in North Korea in most places. Mm-hmm. So I think explaining what a computer is to them might be a little, that might be a first step right there. But
can you imagine, let's say you escape North Korea and you are walking through South Korea and you stop at a store that has virtual reality. Can you imagine the head trip that would be for you? Because you're essentially walking out of our world like 200 years ago into a world that's not even here yet.
Yeah, South Korea is absolutely nuts. And if you listen to some of the accounts of North Koreans that escape that country and make it to the South, I mean, the shock that they describe at seeing what the South Koreans have as opposed to what they had in the North, it's amazing to hear. And I mean, getting back to the topic at hand, I think that the left has created such a caricature of Trump that any little thing he does, they immediately overreact to it. Like, yeah, it's this tweet that Donald Trump sent out. Was it stupid? Oh, hell yeah, it's stupid. I mean, I could just imagine Donald Trump, because let's put this in context. This is in response to a video that Kim Jong-un and the North Koreans put out, where he was basically telling the world that he has a nuclear button and he's not afraid to use it. So in response to that, Donald Trump sends out this, nuclear missile dick measuring contest tweet, to basically telling everyone, hey, I've also got a nuclear missile. I've got like a few thousand of them actually. And, they actually work. They can hit their targets pretty damn easily. So all of a sudden, now everyone thinks that this is a threat for nuclear war, that we're going to start a nuclear war because of a stupid tweet. Like Kim Jong-un is just like, oh, how dare he tweet at me? This makes me so angry. It's kind of funny because I remember seeing that video posted on some liberal Facebook page, and everyone there was going, yeah, this guy's threatening Trump. Yeah, good. And then Trump tweets back, and they're like, how dare he? Like, there's no intellectual consistency here. They don't seem to realize that Kim Jong-un in this situation, he's the bad guy here. As much as you may hate Trump, as much as you may despise him, as bad as he may be, as immature as he may be, Kim Jong-un's a freaking murderer. This is a brutal dictator. This is a man who's holding his entire country hostage. He's the freaking bad guy here, not Donald Trump. If Kim Jong-un starts because the only way that a war is going to start here is if Kim Jong-un pushes the United States too far or actually attacks first. If that happens, he's the freaking mad guy, not Trump, not the United States. And yes, I agree. The United States shouldn't be involved in foreign affairs the way we are. I don't think we should have all these bases all over the place. I don't think we should be going to war like we do. But, I mean, let's face it here. Kim Jong-un is an evil dictator. I mean, everyone wants to call Donald Trump Hitler. Well, Kim Jong-un is the closest thing to Hitler that we actually have in the modern world. The only difference is he doesn't have a military with the capability to actually do anything with. Absolutely asinine. Just the reactions that this has gotten.
Yeah, and I don't want to spend too terribly long talking about this because we've talked ad nauseum. The only thing that we haven't talked about this already is North Korea now has missiles that can range America, and I said months ago that even if they had those, they couldn't hit us. I stand by that. I hate to. I'm never gonna argue like the authority fallacy, but trust me, they're not getting through THAAD or Aegis. It's just not happening. The fear with North Korea is that they're gonna do something to South Korea, which would be terrible. We had that discussion about how big Seoul is and how many people would probably die, and that's more like we can't risk that. But I don't think there's a whole lot, like we had to talk about it because it was stupid from everyone involved. But I think we can probably wrap that up. What's next? What else we got?
All right, we can talk a little bit about Jeff Sessions and his obsession with going after marijuana. Yeah,
because people don't do the dang marijuanas.
Yeah, Jeff Sessions seems to be under this weird impression that marijuana is going to destroy America and that only bad people smoke it.
Do you think he really believes that? Because I think he does.
I think he does too. I think
he's just that dumb.
This guy comes off to me as one of those true believers, one of those guys that was convinced in high school that weed is the devil's plant and has been on a crusade ever since.
I think I think it was DeFranco was talking about clearly it might have been Shapiro. He's either not smoked weed before, or he did smoke weed, but it wasn't just weed, and now he thinks it's much worse than it really is. It's like, well, that's why it should be legalized, because then you don't get it cut with cocaine. Or whatever else they put in there. I don't know. I'd like to find out what weed is like, but I'm afraid of cages. I have a cage.
You're afraid of being locked in a cage.
Yeah, not my thing.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Jeff Sessions comes off to me as one of those genuine believers in the virtuousness of the drug war, and it makes no sense. Knowing what we know today, like there is no such thing as reefer madness. Your brain is not going to turn into a fried weed. It is not going to kill you. There's never been a case of someone dying of an overdose. Now, if you smoke it, you're going to have all the problems that comes with smoking anything. That's not a problem with the marijuana itself. That's just the fact that you're inhaling smoke, just like. But Jeff Sessions seems it's very weird because Donald Trump is not a drug warrior. He doesn't seem to care one bit if states legalize marijuana, and he's hired and he's put Jeff Sessions in a position where he can start going after those states where maybe Donald Trump might not want that to actually go down. I don't know. It's just. Jeff Sessions is just one of those guys. He's just old. He's set in his ways. He thinks he knows everything he needs to know about marijuana. and nothing you say is ever going to change his mind.
Yep.
I mean, let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that nothing comes of this. That states that legalize marijuana get to keep their laws on the books. That the feds don't go in, try to arresting people. And my goodness, you know what? And if the feds do go in, I hope these state governments start arresting federal agents who start going after marijuana dispensaries. Wouldn't it though? Like if the FBI goes into Colorado and they try to shut down marijuana dispensaries, if the local cops just throw them in jail for kidnapping, like, hey, what? Kidnapping and theft. That's what you're in jail for.
Has that, so maybe not with marijuana, but has that happened where you've had local cops going at it with federal?
I mean, I'm sure it's happened before.
Like,
I can't think of an example.
Given the amount of ego that is in law enforcement, it had to have happened at some point.
I mean, I can't think of any specific example, but I'm pretty sure at some point in time, it probably has.
Yeah, so
I mean, the Civil War happened.
This is your one example. Yeah, this is your homework assignment for this week.
Don't give me homework.
Homework
for the listeners. Listeners, this is for you.
For the three of you that are listening.
Hey, we get more than that.
No, actually, we're starting to push past 50 consistently.
Nice. All right, so homework. What do you got?
Just find out if that's happened. Like a time where local cops were arresting federal officers for basically a turf war.
I would be very interested in knowing that. I mean, I'm sure it's happened at some point in time. You know, the funny thing about this marijuana thing is, generally speaking, the left hates the idea of states' rights, except when it comes to marijuana. All of a sudden, federalism and states' rights is a great thing because the states are breaking federal law and allowing their citizens to smoke weed, which is something that leftists like.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, guys, yeah, exactly. That's the point. You know what I mean? If you let the states do it, okay, maybe not all of them are going to do the right thing, sure, but at least you don't have one entity hundreds of miles away making one law that's horrible for everybody.
Yep.
So maybe, just maybe, we can have a little federalism and respect the rights of the states to legalize weed. All right. Moving on. What do you want to talk about next? All right,
why do you like feudalism so much? Sorry, I heard that. I heard someone say that on I don't even remember. But there are people who compare federalism to feudalism because they're dumb and they don't know what words mean.
You know, they probably just get the words confused. Like people get libertarianism and libertinism confused. Think they're the same thing.
I don't even know what libertinism is.
Libertine is just
like a sex addict or something, or someone who does everything in excess.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Google it. I don't got time to do your homework for you.
Worst Asian ever.
Geez, back to that again. Okay, we got a few topics to choose from now. Do you want to talk about the Paw Patrol being fascist? Do you want to talk about dating feminists or BuzzFeed being racist against white people?
Well, as a man who is clearly wrong because he's not dating a feminist, let's do that one.
Let's do that. All right. Cool. That's actually the one I wanted to do. Now, this one's a little bit old, but we didn't do an episode last week because of the holidays, so we're getting to it today. And this one is titled 10 Things Every Intersectional Feminist Should Ask on a First Date, written by Laura Witt. And this one comes from that bastion of reason and logic, everydayfeminism.com. Oh, how we all love that site.
Oh, yeah.
Just here, when I was going through this article, I started clicking on the hyperlinks. This site
don't go down the rabbit hole.
This site is the absolute worst. Oh my goodness! I can't
Everyday
believe how bad it is.
Everyday feminism is a national freaking treasure. You shut your dirty mouth.
I can't believe this site is not satire. This is like The Onion.
It's funny because everyday feminism, like there was a satire site, and I can't.
Yeah, Medusa.
It closed down because they couldn't outdo everyday feminism.
No, I remember that site. It was called Medusa, and they wrote some really crazy articles, and I read them like, I hope this is satire, but I don't know. I can't tell. But anyway, back to everyday feminism. Let's read a little of this article, okay? And it starts like this. As a queer femme of color, I keep close relationships with people who go beyond allyship. All right, first of all, let's stop right there. Let's talk about that word, allyship, because it's a loaded term that feminists like to use when they say I want you to be an ally. What they really mean is they want you to be a vassal. They want you to subject yourself.
A serf. You are a peasant.
Yeah, you are a peasant, and they are the lord and ruler. See, like what an ally is someone that teams up with you for mutual benefit. All right. When two countries become allies, it's because they benefit each other. They help each other. That's the whole point. They're equal partners. But when social justice warriors and feminists say allyship, they don't mean co-equals. What they mean is you shut up, you do what I say, you listen to every word that comes out of my mouth, and we're not equals. I am above you. You are my vassal.
They want allies in the same way that the Roman Empire wanted allies to fight their wars. You send your troops in first, die horribly, and then they roll through, and because you don't have an army left, they go and take your stuff and your women's.
Yeah, it's one of those loaded terms that they like to throw at you. Oh, why can't you just be an ally? No. If we're allies, then we're co-equals. We're equals here. But that's not what you want. You want a subject. Anyway, moving on. Their true accomplishment. I don't want to even read that. Beyond the loving, cushioning happiness and support that we receive from our relationships.
$5. This person hasn't had a healthy, decent relationship in a very long time.
I don't know if there's any way to know that, but you know what? I bet that's probably true. Feminists also date. No, wrong. Feminists also date. No, you don't. Just stop it right there. We don't know you don't date.
Your imaginary.
Anyway.
Your imaginary. Never mind. I'm just not gonna go down that road.
Your sub does not count as a date. Freaking feminist. Anyway, going on. But there are questions we have to ask before we get close to someone. The following list of questions is applicable to all relationships, certainly not just cisgender, heterosexual ones. All right, so I'm going to ask the question first, and then we'll both say whether or not what our answer to it is. All right, so I'm going to say the first question, you answer, and then I'll answer, and then we'll go through what she has to say. Question number 1, and remember, these are questions to ask on a first date. Question number 1, do you believe that Black lives matter?
I don't believe any life matters when you really get down to it.
Don't be a nihilist. Or nihilist. I think never.
I don't know how it's pronounced.
Don't be that.
Yeah.
So do Black lives matter, Zach?
I mean, as much as any other life, I suppose.
You racist. How dare you say that? Do Black lives? Yeah, Black lives. Yeah, they matter. I mean, it's a weird thing to say. If you're on a date and someone's like, hey, do Black lives matter? Yeah.
I'm a little concerned.
Why are you asking me that?
I'm a little concerned if that's going to be kind of your go-to here. Like, is this a debate we're supposed to have?
I have the feeling that this is a bit of a loaded question, so let's see what she has to say. Do you believe that Black lives matter? Yes? Wonderful. Let's start here. There are 3 categories that are non-negotiable for me. An understanding of race, class, and gender. Not everyone understands how these three can be insidious, systematic, and intertwined. But anyone who doesn't take the time to learn how systemic racism works isn't going to care about how racism affects me or people who are darker skinned than I am. I don't want to have laborious discussions where I have to prove to someone that white privilege or non-black privilege exists. Well, isn't that convenient? I don't want to have to prove my assertions. I don't have to have to convince somebody that I want. So I'm simply not going to talk to people who don't already agree with me. Isn't that a convenience? My goodness.
This is why the internet is sometimes a bad thing.
I think this highlights the key difference that libertarians and hardcore social justice leftists have. If someone would have come up to me and express disagreements in my beliefs, but want to have a discussion, I'm in. I'm totally in. Yes, I want to have that discussion. I want to have, how does she put it? I want to have a laborious discussion with people about my beliefs. Leftists don't want to do that. They want to shout you down. If you don't agree with them, they're going to call you a racist, a sexist, a homophobe, all kinds of nonsense, and shout you down.
Yeah, it's because they don't have arguments or facts or principles or consistency.
But they've got my feelings.
My feels.
My feels. All right, moving on to the next question. What are your thoughts on gender and sexual orientation? Well,
there's only two genders, and Allah is the oh wait, I'm mixing my things here.
There are only two genders, and Muhammad is their prophet.
Yeah, Muhammad is the prophet. That's right. Whatever. I probably just deeply offended one person.
So, what are your thoughts on gender and sexual orientation?
I don't care. Keep it out of my face.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I feel. I mean, gender. There's two. Okay, whatever. Fight me. And sexual orientation, whatever. I don't care. Why should I care? I mean, you like dudes? You like chicks? You like dudes and chicks at the same time?
You like
whatever.
Chicks who used to be dudes, like.
Yeah, or dudes who used to be chicks, like whatever. I mean, I find it very strange that people make that a defining characteristic of their identity. But whatever.
So here's kind of my thing on this. Weren't we supposed to be telling our children it was cool to just be who they were? Now we're telling them if you don't like who you are, you can do mutilation to your body, and that still won't fix the problem because that's not how dysmorphia works.
Yeah, we'll just let freaking elementary schoolers go through hormone therapy. Let's not start on that because that's gonna make me angry.
Dude. So I do want to give a bit of a shout out. Owen Benjamin got like a week suspension on Twitter.
Oh, really? What did he do?
I don't remember. It was a pretty. I remember him saying what he said. It was pretty loaded, but let's be completely honest. It's because he doesn't agree with children being trans. Like that's he's marked for that. I really want to get him to the Young Convention, but he won't answer my emails. Senpai, notice me.
All right, so sexual orientation, blah, whatever, do whatever you want. I guess that's basically both our answers. So what does this chick have to say? The gender binary is a tiny box and I wish it didn't exist, but it does. I wouldn't want to be with anyone who is queer-phobic. What the heck is queer-phobic?
Well, first you have to figure out what queer means to this specific person because it doesn't mean what it used to mean.
I mean, just being gay?
Yeah.
Yeah, queer used to be like a derogatory term for gay people. Mm-hmm. Now it means something else. I don't know. Anyway, one out of One out of many important elements of dismantling patriarchy, is to abolish
Great
gender
Satan,
roles.
the patriarchy.
The patriarchy is to abolish gender roles as well as the limited understanding that we have about sexuality and gender itself. I can't imagine being with someone who is transphobic. As a feminist and a woman of color, it would be a betrayal of what I stand for. Ignoring trans misogynoir would be to deny one of the biggest, most despicable problems we face.
So, I have to chime in here. Every time they say this, we don't understand sexuality. There are 7 billion people on this planet. Don't tell me we don't understand sexuality. Most of us understand it just fine. Yeah, we're getting along quite well, thank you.
Yeah, 7 billion and growing. So there's got to be somebody out there doing it right.
Did your child just pop up and you have no idea how that happened?
No, because I'm not a cuck.
Damn it. So, like, you understand sexuality. You made a baby. I've dodged that bullet, but then I, hooked up with a chick that has like 18 kids or something. I don't normally podcast with her in the room. I think I might have to do this from now on because it's funny to me. Anyway, moving on.
Anyway, I don't really have anything to say to this because I don't know what the hell trans misogynoir is supposed to be. I mean, it's got hyperlinks, so I'm sure. What it means,
then you clearly are it.
I am the patriarchy.
Mm-hmm.
I am the problem here. All right, let's move on to question number 3. How do you work to dismantle sexism, and misogyny in your life? Go.
Well, hey, go get me a beer, will you? That's my answer. You don't even drink. I don't. So she's actually the one that drinks. I don't.
So I guess my answer to this question would be.
So here's the thing.
All right, go ahead.
We have a very traditional relationship, which is I'm the more dominant personality, and she is always sniping at me from behind my back, as any healthy couple should. So I can't.
Does this make you the patriarch of your household?
I am definitely the patriarch of my household. So, have you seen the video that comes from? Do you know that meme?
Is it that video of that black guy declaring a meme jihad? Is that the one?
Mm-mm. So I
declare a meme jihad.
The thing is actually a shoe on head wearing a Trump mask, chasing after feminists.
We're going a little far off topic here, but I got to see that video now. That sounds hilarious.
It is.
So my answer to this question would be, I'm not a sexist or a misogynist, and I just don't do that. So that's how I dismantle misogyny and patriarchy. Like, what do they want me to do? Oh, in my day-to-day life? No, what I do in my day-to-day life, I wake up, I go to work, I come home, I play with my kid, I kiss my wife, we hang out for a while, I go to bed. What do I do in my day-to-day life to dismantle misogyny? I guess nothing besides not being a misogynist. How dare I? I live my own life. I live my life. I don't care about this stupid nonsense that feminists care about.
Can you imagine having so much free time that you could care about something this stupid? I would. So here's the thing. I would go
only in capitalist America.
I would go insane having this much free time, and so have they apparently.
They absolutely gone insane. So this woman writes, "I've met cisgender."
You said that this was a gender fluid femme. Say it right.
What?
when you started the article, the author identified.
Oh, I referred to her as she, didn't I? Oh.
Well, you said this woman. Like, I believe the correct pronoun is still she and her, but go on. I'm beating this point too hard.
Anyway, I've met cisgender, heteronormative, I hate that word, men who hate women. Well, yeah, some men hate women. They exist. And there's some women hate men. I'm beginning to think you're one of them. Anyway, they say they love women, but that love is conditional on not having their toxic masculinity questioned or threatened in any way. Okay, I gotta say something here.
All love is conditional.
Yes, all love is conditional. There's only two types of beings in the universe who don't put conditions on their love: God and masochists. And I am neither.
Well, I mean, dogs sometimes.
Okay, maybe even dogs will start to hate you if you beat them too much. As loyal as they are, if you mistreat your dog, they will freaking eat you.
You wouldn't eat me, would you? Nah, we're cool.
this nonsense. I got to read more from this part because it gets better. Forgetting, of course, the idiotic term toxic masculinity, we'll just ignore that. She goes on, and they love us as a monolith. They love what women have to offer, whether it is sex, food, love, care, emotional labor. They love us for what we can do for them, not because of who we are for ourselves. Duh! No crap! Did I just love you for yourself? Whatever the hell that means. Of course, I love you for what you provide, for what you do. Ayn Rand had this great quote in her book, Capitalism, the Unknown Ideal. I'm paraphrasing it, but she essentially said that the best compliment you can pay to someone you love is to say to them, I love you because you are essential for my happiness. That is pretty much the attitude I take to this. I don't love my wife because of some vague, obscure notion of who she is to herself. No, I love her because I need her in my life to be happy. Because of what she is able to provide: stability, emotional support, companionship, all these things that we want in partners. And any relationship that is healthy, of course, is based upon conditions. Love is conditional, and it should be. If love is unconditional, you're a masochist. That's not healthy.
Well, even that's conditional because the condition is pain. Like, if you're a masochist and you're not receiving pain, then you're not going to love someone.
Yeah, unconditional love leads to subjugation. That's what that is. So for this woman to come out and complain that men put conditions on their love is absolutely ridiculous. Of course we do. We should, and you should too. You think this woman doesn't put conditions on her love? This entire article is based on the conditions that she puts on her love for men. This entire argument is based on the premise that she puts conditions on her love. And apparently that's perfectly fine for her to do. But for a man to do the same, it's sexist and misogynistic and enforcing the patriarchy. This woman is crazy, just absolutely crazy, and it pisses me off.
So I want to throw back to an earlier topic real quick because this will make you giggle.
Oh, good.
Going back to your boy, Jeff Sessions.
Ooh.
So our other homeboy, Bill de Blasio, tweeted, Jeff Sessions' vendetta against legalized marijuana is an attack on minority communities. We know what the war on drugs does to communities of color. This is a step backwards. Someone got a hold of him. I don't know who Frank Luntz is, but bravo, sir, because this is wonderful. 60,990 people have been arrested for marijuana in New York City while Bill de Blasio has been mayor. 52,730 of them have been black or Latino.
Oh, looks like de Blasio is a bit of a racist.
Sounds like a bit of hypocrisy. I mean, not that de Blasio would be a hypocrite.
No, liberals aren't hypocrites.
That dude's a full-on communist.
Yeah, he really is. They should just let New York City secede from the rest of the union and go fail on their own.
The rest of New York State would love for that to happen.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you let some of these major, let Chicago secede from Illinois, basically the same thing, and Illinois will probably be a pretty awesome state if that happened.
It would just be Indiana at that point.
Yeah, it'd be Indiana too. Oh my goodness. So yeah, there's that. Right. Anyway, where did I leave off on this? Oh yeah. Reading on, it is crucial for cishet men, I hate that term, to learn how to decenter their male privilege in order for them to understand the multitudes of interpretations of femininity and womanhood. All right, that's just an alphabet soup right there. I don't even know what the hell that she's talking about there. Let's move on.
Buzzword triggered.
Yeah, I'm triggered. Question number 4. What are your thoughts on sex work? Well, that's a weird question to ask on a first date, but what are your thoughts on sex work?
On the legality of it or the morality of it?
She didn't say, so answer both.
All right, splitting. Legality, sure. Morality, no. Move on.
Yeah, that's essentially my answer too. Yeah, should it be legal? Yes. Just like heroin, cocaine, and meth should be legal. But are they good? Should we want them? Should we encourage it in society? Absolutely not. So that's what we say. Let's see what our feminist hero has to say. You may scratch your head at this one. Well, yes, I literally scratched my head at that one. But much like racism and misogynoir, whatever that means, being pro-sex worker is a necessary pillar of dismantling the patriarchy. That's odd. It is necessary to support workers to dismantle patriarchy. That's a new one to me. But moving on, I don't mean pro-sex worker in the sense where non-sex workers write op-eds and think pieces about how sex work is amazing and feminist. Oh, really? I mean the kind where we pass the mic to sex workers because they know their experience is better than anyone who hasn't ever engaged in sex work.
So I want to jump in here for a second.
All right, go ahead.
Do you know how many porn stars are conservatives? Most. Go on Twitter sometime. Block out the how do you do this? You your parental controls so that you're not seeing a bunch of TNA and watch the ones that will talk politics. They're mostly conservative.
I mean, I don't want to confuse different types of people, but on the left, and especially when you get to the radical left, you sometimes run into these people that say stuff like wage slavery. You know, that called wage work slavery. And I don't know if this particular writer is one of those people, but she seems very much to be the kind of person that would fall into that camp. And I would imagine, yeah, that wage work, working for a wage, is slavery. You're a wage slave, this kind of nonsense. But then they turn around and say that sex work is somehow empowering and dismantling the patriarchy or some nonsense like this. I'm like, wait a minute. So if me selling my body is empowering and destroying the patriarchy, but me selling my labor to a company is wage slavery, there seems to be a disconnect there. But I don't know whether this particular writer believes that, but it would seem very hypocritical for anyone who promotes the idea of wage slavery and then turn around and say that sex work is somehow better. But now I lost my spot. Where did I leave off? See, here's the problem with reading these articles. I glance over them, and there's like half the words I don't even know what the hell they mean. I think they make words up just to confuse people.
So the bad part is I typically do know what they're talking about because I go down this rabbit hole too much.
Dude, I went down this rabbit hole for all of 20 minutes the other day, and it's just like, oh, I can't do this anymore. All right, let's do Question number 5. Are you a supporter of the boycott, divest, sanctions movement?
I am all for boycotting Twitter and Google as much as possible for their anti-free speech.
Oh, but they're not talking about Google and Twitter. They're talking about Israel.
Oh. So, okay, so
Let's
we're going to go down a rabbit hole.
Let's read what she has to say just so we're both on the same page.
Okay, go ahead.
The boycott, divest, sanctions effort is an effort to end international support for Israel's oppression of Palestinians. I grew up with Jewish friends and Palestinian friends. Before even understanding how power and oppression work together, we understood the trivial hatred that colonized and put in constant danger the lives of Palestinians every day. Eventually, I learned about apartheid from a theoretical perspective and began to understand the terror, trauma, and stress of having everyone you love and care about get killed simply because one nation has the military backing and power to destroy your land for them to settle on. Being pro-Palestinian is not the same as being anti-Semitic. I shouldn't have to express that, but being pro-Palestine and BDS is a necessary part of intersectionality. All right. Anything to say about that one? So see, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of the Israel-Palestine debate because we can probably spend an entire episode talking about that. But what about this idea that somehow intersectionality is linked to the Palestinian?
So they're always going to take any group that they think they can put out there as being put upon is somehow related to intersectionality, because intersectionality is just a fancy way of them saying we're going to rally everyone against people who have been successful in life.
Yes, yeah. If I went on a date with somebody and someone asked me this question, I'd probably just look at them weird because it's a thing to base a relationship on. Do you support the movement to boycott Israel? Well, hey, I don't know.
I support the movement to stop giving them federal money, but
yeah,
that's just because I don't want to spend my money on them. But I also don't want to spend my money on the Palestinians either.
Yeah, I don't know what items I use in my day-to-day life that come from Israel. I'm sure there's something. I mean, Israel has a surprisingly industrial country, so I'm sure there's something I use that comes from Israel. There's got to be something. But no, I'm not going to boycott it because it comes from Israel. Screw you, lady. You know, by the time we get to this question, I think I'm already checked out of the relationship. So now this lady asking me if I support a boycott of Israel. No, go screw yourself. I'm leaving. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to stop buying goods from Israel because some idiotic, smelly feminist told me to. All right. Let's see. What's next? Number 6. What is your understanding of settler colonialism and indigenous rights? Whew, that's a mouthful.
It hasn't happened in the Western world for about 200 years. I don't know. When was the Trail of Tears? That was
Andrew Jackson.
So before the Civil War.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, before the Civil War.
So since the Civil War, this has not been a problem.
There's been incidents since the Civil War, but yeah, I mean, more or less, no. But what is your understanding of settler colonialism and indigenous rights?
I'm Scottish. I know all about this. It happened to my people for like 800 years.
No. White people cannot be oppressed.
The Scottish are not white to most other Europeans, apparently.
All right, so what this lady needs to understand is settler colonialism has happened to just about is how the world became what it is. You know, indigenous people have been oppressed and driven out of their land since the dawning of mankind. This did not start with Western civilization. It ended with Western civilization. You know, it is the West and our liberal sentiments, not classical liberal sentiments, that has led people to believe that this kind of thing, that occupying and destroying indigenous people, is wrong. That's a liberal Western ideal. in the classical sense, not in the modern sense, the classical liberal Western ideal. So yeah, the Western cultures have been guilty of slaughtering indigenous people. Guilty. The West has done that. But so has every other culture that has ever existed in the world. You know, you think the freaking Romans weren't doing this? You think that the ancient Egyptians and Assyrians and Persians weren't doing this? You think the Mongols weren't doing this? You think African civilizations weren't doing this to each other? No. People have been driving indigenous populations off their land and murdering people since the dawning of mankind. It is the liberal Western civilization has begun ending that. So you're welcome.
So, I don't know if we've talked about this before, but just to clear up the misconception, if anyone, I just lost my train of thought. So let me back up and make this point instead. Every culture throughout history has partaken in slavery, which is kind of the ultimate form of this, of what we're talking about. You take people from their land, or you keep them on their land and make them work for you. This happened in Africa. Like, white people didn't go to Africa and enslave people. They went to Africa to buy slaves from other black people. Some Arab countries are still doing the slave trade. Libya has open slave markets. Thanks, Hillary Clinton. This isn't a white thing, okay? This is a Northwestern European culture thing. Because those were the people, there's so much historical context for how to explain this without people misunderstanding it. But the culture that developed coming out of the Dark Ages in Northwestern Europe was much more freedom-oriented because it had to be. Because the population almost died off several times. And when you have lower populations, you actually have less government control in feudal settings because they can't control everyone. Like, they can't grip too tight or they're going to lose everyone.
Yeah, a scarce resource is more valuable.
Mm-hmm.
When labor is scarce, it's more valuable, and therefore you got to give it incentives and not use the whip.
Yeah, thank you. I was having a really hard time articulating. If you can't tell people I'm sick, this is not my best. But so because of that, that independent culture comes out of those countries and then spreads all over the world, because once other people start to taste this idea, this freedom thing, it becomes infectious. You know, as the really crappy King Arthur movie said, animals seek to live, humans seek to live free.
Yep, essentially. And
I'm completely done with this article. I've checked out. I'm sorry.
Oh, I still got a few to go. Here, the next one is my favorite. The next one's my favorite. Do you think capitalism is exploitive?
No.
No. Not only no, but screw you, lady. Get out of my face at this point. Do I think capitalism exploitive? No. Oh, what does she have to say? Oh, this ought to be good. Anti-capitalism, especially in the U.S., is imperative if you have an understanding of systemic racism and the prison industrial complex, the 13th Amendment, and exploitation. Screw you! Really?
So we can get on board with the prison industrial complex bit. Sure.
Okay, yeah, sure. That's a government thing, though. That's caused by government. You know, maybe if government wasn't if Jeff Sessions and the government wasn't throwing so many people in jail for freaking drugs, maybe this wouldn't be such a problem. You know, maybe if the government wasn't making deals with prisons that guaranteed that they would keep their beds full, maybe this wouldn't be so much of a problem. You know, there is no market. The market demand for prisoners isn't really high. It's government that makes it artificially inflated. So why are you blaming capitalism of all things? capitalism's to blame for high prison populations? What? Taking enormous numbers of people out of the workforce is something that capitalism does? No, that's something that government does, not capitalism, you idiot. What do we got? Capitalism, for one, teaches us that we are only valuable if we produce capital. That is not what capitalism does. What capitalism does is reward you for production. That's what capitalism does. It doesn't teach you that you're only valuable if you produce capital. What it does is reward industrious people. That's somehow a bad thing. All right? I mean, I know this lady probably isn't getting rich writing articles like this. Shocker. But maybe that's the market telling her that her articles are crap and they don't want them. You know, maybe the most utility.
I love these articles. These articles are wonderful. They're a treasure. Oh, yes.
The biggest utility that you can get from these articles are ripping them to shreds like me and you are doing right now. We're getting out of this by disagreeing with it than anyone did from agreeing with this crap. You know, lady, just because you aren't getting rich writing crappy articles doesn't mean that capitalism has failed you. You have failed capitalism. Capitalism has not failed you.
So this just strikes me as a person who's broke, friendless, not getting laid, doesn't feel good about herself, and is just like, this is not because I'm a crap person. This is someone else's fault.
This capitalism. These stupid people. Okay, let's see what else they had. That means that if you aren't contributing to the system with your labor, your life means nothing. No, it doesn't. It means that your life means nothing to me because I'm not paying you to do nothing. All right? I pay people with I spend my money on things I value. I do not value people sitting on their butts doing nothing. All right? And guess what? Most people are like me. They don't value laziness. They don't value you sitting on your butt contributing nothing to society. So they don't pay you to do that. They pay you to do stuff that adds value to the world. You know, I go to Walmart and pay for the items I buy because I think those items add value to my life. You know, I pay the gas station for the gas I put in my car because I think that gas adds value to my life. If you are not adding value to my life, then generally speaking, I don't give you my money. Now, I might be charitable every now and then, you know, because I'm a good guy, even though I'm a capitalist swine or whatever the heck this lady thinks I am. But I pay money for things I value. All right? If you're just sitting on your behind expecting to get paid, you're an idiot. Plain and simple. So what do we?
So we're hitting about an hour.
Oh, I want to keep going. We got two more questions. Can we?
Sick. We need to wrap this up soon.
All right, we got 3 more questions, so we'll make.
You just said 2.
I'm sorry, I meant 3, but we'll make this quick. Okay.
Ever.
Okay. We'll do this real quick. Can any human be illegal?
I would agree that no, humans aren't illegal.
Like sure, but I mean it depends on the context.
They're talking about immigration.
Yeah, I know, but just the way the question is asked. I mean, the reason people call illegal immigrants is because they've done something illegal by immigrating, not because they think that the human being themselves is illegal. Like they shouldn't exist. That's not what people say when they say illegal immigrant. You know?
So some people, yes, are that messed up. That's all. But let's move on. We're mostly in agreement with the point that she's trying to very inarticulately make.
All right. Question 9. Do you support Muslim Americans and non-Muslim people from Islamic countries? Sure. Why not?
I would like to stop bombing them.
Yeah. I'd like to stop freaking killing so many overseas. So I guess that's a yes for me.
Yeah.
All right. Without reading into her question, which is probably some nonsense anyway. All right, number 10, last one. Does your allyship include disabled folks? Well, as I said,
I am disabled.
Oh, there you go. There you go. But as I said before, I am not an ally in her sense of the word.
You're not my ally.
I'll be
battle. Come on, man.
I'm your battle eye. But yeah, I'm not an ally of anybody in the sense that this feminist means it. I mean, in the true sense of the word, mutually partnership that mutually benefits the both of us of equals. Then yes, am I an ally of disabled people? Sure, yeah, why not? But I don't vacillate myself to disabled people. All right, I don't vacillate myself to anybody. Which is kind of what makes me a libertarian in the first place. All right, so that's 10 things every feminist should ask on a first date. And let me just tell you, if you're asking these on a first date, you will never get a second date because this is a load of horse crap. All right, so we didn't even get to Paw Patrol being fascist.
That's fine.
Well.
It's like old news at this point.
Yeah, I know, but it's just so funny that I wanted to talk about. But anyway, I think we'll wrap it up there. Events. I don't think this episode will probably be out sometime this weekend. It'll probably be too late for the Sarpy County meeting this coming Monday.
It'll be out before then, but I mean,
no
one cares about Sarpy.
Oh, hush your mouth! You're moving to Sarpy, so you better start
and then people will care.
And then people will care. Well, for all those people who might care right now, Sarpy County Libertarian Party is meeting at Brownies across the street from the Sup Memorial Library on Monday at 7 p.m.
Is it a bar?
Yeah, it's kind of like a bar and grill type deal.
Because I know a certain someone was complaining about all of our meetings are in bars.
Well, that certain someone shouldn't be coming to libertarian meetings anyway because he's not a libertarian. That certain someone needs to run as his own party. His own party.
That party that he keeps talking so much about. Maybe he should try to get ballot access for them, like we've worked to do here. Then he tries to claim credit for us having ballot access. Go screw yourself.
Yeah, really, the dude's a piece of work.
Was it Ben the one that got like 25% in an election and that secured us?
Let's not spend time talking about that individual who shall not be named. So yeah, Sarpy County meeting coming up. There will be volunteer opportunities for Laura Epke coming up. If you want to get involved in that, come out to the meetings. Let us know. We are working on her campaign as we speak. If you want to get involved in that, visit the website .org and sign up as a volunteer, or lauraepke.com to sign up as a volunteer. Other than that, I don't think we have anything else coming up.
Well, you might want to kick out your website again because you went a little robotic there.
Website, lpne.org and lauraepke.com. If you want to get involved in the Laura Epke campaign, those are two sites that are good to sign up as a volunteer on.
And we actually have volunteer opportunities for Tyler coming up very soon.
Yes, we do.
I haven't talked to him about how much he wants me to give out information about that, but I mean, it's on his Facebook page. If you want to help out, go find him. We'll put you to work.
And the Douglas County Libertarian Party is spearheading the effort on that one.
Yep.
So if you're living in Douglas County and you want to help a great school board candidate win, just hit up the Douglas County Libertarian Party on their Facebook page, or Tyler Glow on his. It's believe Tyler Glow for West Side School Board.
So it is cool. Our two biggest counties are running candidates. Our worst kept secret is coming out of Sarpy County. So that's going to be our three biggest counties running candidates.
Yeah.
I think that's where it's got to start. And then there's talk. There's kind of we're talking to people out west about, hey, you got any city councils, school boards? If you're listening to this and you're not plugged into a county party or anything, because there's not a lot going on in the western part of the state. And by the west, I mean anything past Fremont.
It is Tri-Cities.
Yeah, so there's Tri-Cities. even if you're not in necessarily their sphere, if you want to run for something, they'll probably come help you. They are our middle of the state people, so reach out to them.
Every party needs candidates. That's number one. We need candidates. And the bigger counties, they have their candidates. They have their people. Lancaster has Senator Laura Epke to support because a bit of Lancaster is in Laura Epke's district. Sarpy has got a candidate running this year, and Douglas has a county party running this year. Those are the largest counties in the state. And out west, we got Ben Backus on city council.
Yep.
So I think we'll wrap up with that. We plugged our candidates.
I'm going to go be sick in my bed where it's warm.
That sounds like an awesome idea. Well, happy 2018, everybody. We made it another year. Let's hope we make it another if Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un don't go to war all of a sudden for no reason. You all have a good one. It's been nice talking to you.
Have a good whatever, everyone.